when it comes to systemic racism, that would infer that there's this whole system that is holding you down because you're a black woman.
But there is.
But here's the thing is there's not. There's over 2 million black millionaires in America. Black women are outpacing in education in so many different metrics compared to every single demographic. I mean, just look at yourself. I mean, just hearing you, you sound very educated. You can't have all of these different success and be self-made in a country that is oppressive to you because of your skin color. We've seen what that looks like in the past, and that is just not the situation that we're in anymore. Because as I look at you as a black woman, there is not a single thing that this white man, no shade, can do that you can't do. You are capable. Supporters of affirmative action say it's necessary because it rights historical wrongs. But all it does is create new wrongs. A truly equitable admission system can only be created by one thing: merit. That way, no one would ever assume you got in with just a smiley face.
Today, we're debunking systemic racism, explaining what it is and the lie that everybody is trying to tell you.
What I like about the systemic racism argument is that it leaves the responsibility for the resolution of the problem with the very parties that the argument assumes are not interested in solving the problem because, after all, the system is racist. It's disempowering. I'm not unmindful of the history of slavery and its effect, but I think development is the imperative. And the thing about development is no one can do it for you. You have to raise your children. You have to acquire the educational capacities. You have to attend to the maintenance of the institutions within your community that sustain and nurture the development of human potential. So the systemic racism argument puts the ball in the wrong court for me. I want to focus attention on taking responsibility for our freedom, not complaining about our supposed oppression.
This guy is very smart, and he is right. We should take responsibility and focus on improving ourselves, taking action to improve our lives.
Do you believe there is any evidence of systemic racism in this country?
Absolutely not, no. There's no evidence of systemic racism, meaning that there's no laws that are written with the intent or even the conclusion to harm certain different communities based on the color of their skin. Here's where they always go to. Just because there's disparities does not mean there's discrimination. Disparate outcomes can be blamed on a lot of different things other than racial discrimination. If you guys want to go on a scholarly journey, please go read Thomas Sowell's book, Discrimination and Disparities. But here's the reality of it. If you get married before you have kids, you get a job, any job, and you graduate from high school and don't commit crimes, and you're not totally reckless with money, regardless of skin color, you can succeed in this country. We've done a pretty good job of preserving and maintaining that. A black child that is raised with a mother and father in the home is far more likely to succeed based on all independent metrics than a white child that's raised by a single mother. No, I don't believe in systemic racism, and nor should you. Thank you.
That was beautiful, Charlie Kirk speaking out the truth right there. Everybody can succeed in the country regardless of the color of their skin.
A system can be racist without anyone in the system being a racist. And that's what people mean by systemic racism. There's a bit of a contradiction there because on the one hand, people want to say, well, the racism is in the system. It doesn't require any actual racist people to operate. But on the other hand, what I see is, as Glenn observed, an endless obsession with finding people who are racists. So it seems a little bit that there's a desire to have it both ways. They want to find these people and punish these people as racists. But we're also supposed to believe that the really important kind of racism is the one that doesn't require anyone at all.
We have a whole.
That was super interesting what he said. There are probably, most likely, individuals that are racist, but a world system that is racist, I don't believe so.
Hollywood actor who was talking about his pay, saying he's underpaid, and the reason for that underpayment is systemic racism.
I've been in this business and making films now over 2 decades, and still with 2 Oscar nominations, many big blockbuster films, and yet I have still struggling financially to make a living. Definitely underpaid. This conceptual idea of diversity still has a long way to go. Systemic racism don't change.
In looking at his his IMDb page and how many movies he's been in, I can't imagine he should be struggling. Although I don't know when these payments would have landed in his bank. From what I can find online, it says his net worth is around $4 million. So baby boy, how you struggling? I also found some other reports that says he owns a $2.1 million home that he was actually trying to find a tenant for. That tenant would be paying $12,000 a month. Now, was he doing this because he couldn't afford to live in his home anymore? Was this a step to gain more finances? I don't know, but I feel like with the payments for these movies, shouldn't be struggling. But that's just me.
Exactly, people are using systemic racism just like this actor as an excuse for their poor decision, and in this case, their poor financial decisions.
The stories that you just shared, it seems to me, are precisely the kinds of things you would hear somebody point to and say, now that's evidence that our struggle is against systemic racism, right? Rather than hey, let's...
No.
Yeah.
It would be systemic racism if the church promoted that activity.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
That's the key. But here's a great example. Back in the day, there was something known as redlining. Well, of course, now, no bank has any system like that at all. However, you may have a loan officer in that bank who says, you know what? I will not give any loans to any people of color. Now, they're not following what the bank says. They're doing this as an individual. So you can't blame the system for an individual. That's why I said before, we have to start with people and changing people, minds, and hearts in order to facilitate a change, a systematic change.
That was beautiful, honestly. I truly believe what he's saying right there. You have to change people's mind instead of working systematically.
If somebody asks you, do you think there's a such thing as systemic racism? And I answered yes, what would you have answered?
My answer would be, yes, there is such a thing as systemic racism, or here I can give you an account of something that could plausibly be called systemic racism that I think is coherent and consistent with American history. But no, I don't think there's systemic racism in the sense, in the spirit with which people so quickly invoke systemic racism nowadays.
I agree. Systemic racism nowadays, in today's definition, what people are saying all over the place in academic institutions and on social media is a complete lie.
That there's systemic racism in the society. When an African-American defendant comes in front of a judge, they are less likely to be able to plead down their case from a felony to a misdemeanor.
Instead of saying, they really get different sentencing, how about this? Stop committing crimes.
Yeah.
Like, I feel so bad that, this guy, I know he shot up a home and killed 2 people, but he really got a tougher sentence than the white guy. Like, yeah, you're not winning me over with that, actually. Here's the thing. 50+% of all murders are done by black men. They are 7% of the population, and they do more than half of all the killing in this country. I am not going to pander and use, I feel your pain and white privilege and sentencing stuff. How about you stop murdering so many people? And I'm not saying that blacks are doing it because they're black. I'm saying they're doing it when you don't have a father around. You are more likely to enter that cycle of violence.
That was beautiful, honestly. People are using race as an excuse. They are looking for an excuse why their life is terrible. Just take responsibility for your own action and do better.
We'll come here, and then I'm going to wrap, because I'm talking a lot today.
Have you faced racial discrimination during your life, and do you think systemic racism exists in America?
I have faced racial discrimination in my life. It has come from people of diverse races. I don't think racism is limited to one race, actually. But I also don't let it ruin my life. Have I stubbed my toe? Yes, I have. Is it pleasant when your toe is stubbed? No, it is not. But you don't let it ruin your life. So hardship is something that happens to you. Victimhood is a choice. Hardship is not the same thing as victimhood. And I reject the narrative of systemic racism because I think it is a fake, made-up concept to apologize for the failures of actual real systems, like a failing educational system that tells poor kids they're trapped in the zip code that they're born in. Failed systems that drive the fatherlessness epidemic in this country by the government fueling it. Many black kids are born into fatherlessness today, many more than were in 1950. Who created that? Lyndon Johnson and the federal government. So they blow woke smoke to deflect accountability for their own failures. I believe in getting to the root cause rather than virtue signaling with fancy made-up terms like systemic racism made to make people feel better about themselves. No, I believe in the truth.
What do you think?
Last question.
That was beautiful right there. I believe it is a great end to this video. I think he's 100% right. I think people are using systemic racism as victimhood mentality. They think they are a victim of an overarching system that is basically taking them in situation where they would not belong. They are treating them unfairly because of their race, and that is not true at all. There is no system that is inherently racist. Only individual people, and even if there are individual people that express some kind of racism, they are not born with it. You place two childs together with different skin color, and one will not be systematically racist to the other one, or racist at all. This is learned through our society, through our environment, through our education system. Unfortunately, people become racist through their experiences as they go through life. They get through experiences where they understand that one kind of people, they have a different experience from one kind of people to another. And so they change their opinion as a whole for this whole kind of people, for people as a whole with the same appearance, basically. And that comes from their experiences. It is not systematically acquired. It is all based on an individual level. And even if in your own life you are faced with racism in some occasion or more occasion, then you should not play the victim. You should take accountability. You should take responsibility and find a way to move on, to make your life better, to ignore the negative and think positively about the future and try and do all that you can to improve your situation, to do better, to improve your community, and to help and to serve and to make not only your own life better, but the life of your family, your friends, your community, your country. I hope you understand what I mean by that. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video with me today. As always, click right there to watch the next video, and I will see you there. Bye bye.